Good afternoon, New Orleans, or wherever you may be. It's Wednesday at 4, so, Michelle, what's that mean? What time is it?
It's tax time.
It's balding the ball in time, but you're right. It's tax time. By the way, the lead-in,
yes,
before our mics go hot, they say that in no way do our views represent theirs. How do they know what we're going to say?
There you go. They maybe they do agree with us.
Maybe they agree on everything we say.
I would think they agree on the tax part.
I agree on everything I say.
I mean, aren't you getting a lot for your tax contribution to the United States of America?
I send in an extra $5,000 for the war.
That's it.
Because I love it so much.
Well, they need 1.5 trillion more.
Well, that's why I'm doing my share.
I feel like we should all have to kick in.
Yeah, pony it up.
Yeah, add another $10,000 to everybody's bill.
Oh, you know what? Before we go too far down the road,
yeah, because we might with this.
With the war. Well. And we might. We have a lot to talk about. And today's going to be a free-for-all. We'll talk about whatever we feel
like. We'll talk a lot about vaccines and autism. I'd like to thank last week's guest again, Renee Valaton and Raina Moran, who were two autism moms. So we're going to talk a little more about vaccines and the vaccine Vortex, I'm calling it. And it's just a smorgasbord of, I can't even think of a non-curse word.
Well, we have some excellent clips.
Suckery. There you go. It's a lot of suckery.
Yes. Well, we have some excellent clips that you sent me, and they're thank you for that, because they're actually a lot longer than we usually play, but they're so good in their entirety.
Yes.
I want to play them all, and then we'll stop along the way.
And these are expert, people talking about vaccine, because if you're on social media, I'm sure you've seen the Vortex, the fire hydrant, spraying us with all sorts of new information about more vaccine problems. And I would just want to say, I'm going to start saying this every week, autism is the leading problem in this country. We are headed towards, scientists agree, we are headed towards a diagnosis of 1 out of every 2 children. 25% of those kids are profound. They are disabled from birth till death. I mean, I'll just say again what I said last week, and you've now added to it. I do not know one single person, my age group, nor do I have a friend who has a friend who has a cousin who has a friend who has autism. Not one.
I don't know anybody who knows anybody.
And do you know anyone? You're from Portland, right?
Yes.
Do you know anybody in our age group? No, none.
No.
And we had 3 vaccines. These kids have 72. Is that the cause? Who knows? But the point is, we damn well should have put the same hysteria that we put on COVID, a coronavirus, which is a cold, on autism. And I am really mad about it.
I know it, and you should be.
Yep. It should be autism outrage. Not awareness, outrage.
All right,
that's going to be the name of my new group, Autism Outrage.
But here on Tax Day, I did want to talk
yes.
And I do want to get to the COVID stuff. I mean, the COVID stuff.
We got time.
Autism
We're
stuff.
Good.
But first, because it's tax day, and I really did send in that check for the $5,000. Once I did send $1 million check to Jimmy Swaggart. I'm gonna take a detour here. I got to tell you.
I remember you told me that.
Because a friend of mine, I'm usually the one pulling the best gag in the room, but he way outdid me. He put me on Jimmy Swaggart's mailing list. This was like 40 years ago.
Yeah, I was on it. Yeah.
And he said, and I got something seriously every day, maybe one, because we got mail 6 days a week. I got mail either 6 days a week or 5 days a week from Jimmy Swaggart Ministries asking for money. And I would send them back, RTS and not interested. No matter what I did, didn't matter. Till finally one day I wrote out a check, $1 million to Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, signed it and everything. But in the memo field, really tiny, I just wrote the word void. And that's all it took. And that
was pretty scary.
I got one last letter from them, said thank you for whatever donation, but we can't cash a check for the following reason. Now, this was on legal paper. It was a form letter, had like 50 reasons, and one of them checked off was void, not negotiable.
That's awesome.
So people were doing this kind of crap all the time to them. They had a form letter for it.
Listen, audience, don't do it.
I don't recommend
Don't risk it.
And I don't recommend you send in $5,000 to the U.S. Treasury and write void in the memo field.
How about this is to aid and abet the Israeli cause, as recognized by Rubio and Speaker Johnson, that we are in this war because Bibi said we needed to go.
Okay, listen. And we did play those clips.
Yes,
and
over and over.
I haven't heard them walk those comments back, but they did say it. They said it loud and clear. They were very clear with what they said. But still you'll hear people say that Trump is not influenced by Netanyahu in Israel. But let me tell you this. We played a clip a couple weeks ago of Trump saying you can do this stuff, you can solve these problems by phone. You can negotiate them away. It's basically what he was saying.
When he was running for office.
Yes, and you don't need to drop bombs. Okay, so that was Trump then. Netanyahu, for years, for decades, has been wanting regime change in Iran. He comes to the U.S. 7 times in a year, and then what do? Do we go Trump's way, or do we go Netanyahu's way? You tell me who's got the influence. Stop telling me he's not influencing Trump when Trump did a 180 and went his direction.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is if you believe what Trump said in his, I don't know, last 20 years of public life.
Yeah, exactly.
Before he was even in office, and then his entire platform consisted, this wasn't his entire platform, but he was vehement about no new wars. And this is why we are now stuck in a quagmire. He obviously thought we were going to get in and out like we did in Venezuela, like we did in the last time we went to Iran in June of last year, when he said we succeeded in, quote, obliterating, unquote, their nukes. So their nuclear capabilities, not nukes, because he did not have them.
Then I have another.
Allegedly.
I have another take on this war. I doubt you're going to hear this anywhere. I try to be unique once in a while.
Yes, you're good at that.
So, back in
aside from what you wear,
back in the early '60s, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Was that '62, I think, October '62.
Yeah.
And Trump. Geez, listen to me.
JFK.
Kennedy and Khrushchev were careful to. Things did escalate a little bit.
Yep.
But they also knew if we've got to stop the escalation, and they did, and it all worked out peacefully. Here's the punchline to that: it was not known until 30 years later, till 1992. Robert McNamara heard it at a speech, and his jaw dropped. That Cuba had tactical nukes given to them by the Soviets, and the Americans didn't know they had them. For 30 years, we didn't know. The reason I'm going there is, had Kennedy and Khrushchev not de-escalated, and America had really stayed belligerent toward Cuba, because those missiles were now in Cuba's hands. They didn't require launch codes. They could have
90 miles from Miami.
Yes. They were tactical nukes.
Well, from the Keys.
Because all the offensive weapons had to be removed. That was part of the negotiation with Khrushchev. But these were considered defensive, and Khrushchev and Castro didn't let on that they had them. They didn't feel the need to. They weren't offensive weapons. They were sitting on nukes that could have been launched by Castro without permission from the Soviets and without any launch codes. So had we had Trump's attitude now, then we might have taken some nukes.
Yeah.
And the point is, when you launch something like this and get real aggressive, you don't know where it's going.
That's the whole point of war.
And that's why you don't start.
That's why you don't start. And wasn't it, I think it was Mike Tyson, I forget, but, everybody has a plan till they get hit in the face. Till they get
punched in the face.
In the face. So,
Well, and the thing is, Iran now knows we got to make the guys who are punching us pay a price, or they're going to never stop punching. So, of course, they have to retaliate the best they can.
Well, they're not losing. That's the whole thing, is that they've been prepared for this. And this is not, I don't know who it's a shock to, but according to the things I've read, the Pentagon has been wargaming war with Iran forever, and we never win because of the terrain, because of the size of the country, because they're dug in, and, but anyway, 1.5 trillion. I'm sure we couldn't use that to, let's say, start by looking at autism.
Right, that'd be a good start.
Let's just look at that, for example.
You know what? I want my $5,000 back.
All right, maybe. Did you write void on the check?
I forgot to.
Yeah, geez.
I always thought that'd be a great prank to play on your kid. Name him Void. He could never cash a check. Of course, they're not gonna have checks in the future.
That's true.
Anyway.
Void Smith, boy.
Yeah. Screw that guy.
That's a shame.
All right, so you want to set him up for some of the clips we have coming?
Yeah,
we
coming
have
back.
Yeah, we have a minute to go here. Go ahead.
Coming back, we have some clips about vaccines. We have the Henry Ford Medical Center did a study on vaccinated children versus unvaccinated children to prove, and you understand this, they were trying to prove that childhood vaccines were safe.
That was the whole point of the study.
That was the point of the study. It is a legitimate, gigantic study, and unfortunately for Big Pharma, The study turned out to find just the opposite.
The exact opposite.
Yeah, so we will show you the increases in the various diseases among the highly vaccinated population.
And by the way, when you said big study, there was 18,500 children
big study.
in this study. And where they set out to find vaccinated kids were healthier, it showed the exact opposite, that unvaccinated kids were healthier by a long shot.
By a long shot.
And they were shocked.
I'm a superstar.
That's what we are, superstars.
I'm not feeling it better. Okay, speak for
feeling
yourself.
I'm not feeling it either. Anyway, so we're Baldy and the Blonde, and it's tax day, so who's happy today? No one.
Yay.
Just makes you see, I mean, all those fraud cases that Doge uncovered, no wonder they got rid of Doge. Just another campaign promise going by the wayside,
Yeah,
but okay. Right. Tons, millions, and trillions. I keep saying trillions, but billions missing. Billions missing, probably trillions when you consider funds going out of the country to Ukraine and to, whatever just crazy.
Hang
Hamas.
on just 1 second.
Yeah.
Did you know that by law, the Pentagon is supposed to be audited every year? They have, and that's been for something like 30 years.
Yeah, they never audited.
They have not yet passed an audit one time.
And I have to say now, I have to follow up to say, remember, September 10th, the day before September 11th, Donald Rumsfeld, then the Secretary of Defense, made the announcement that they could not account for, was it 2 or 3 trillion?
2.3 trillion. And he said that in the context of we need more money.
Yeah.
We can start tracking it better. Right? And they lost at 2.3 trillion asking for more.
So why couldn't they do an audit?
No, they say themselves we can't get complete information. They've never passed an audit.
Where were the records located?
I don't want to go into that.
They were in.
Yeah, where the plane or the missile hit. Right where the missile hit.
They were in
that's another show.
Trade Center.
Don't do that to me.
Okay. I'm sorry, but it's just.
No, we're never going to do the show you wanted to do.
Let's try.
If you throw it my way.
All right, let's try.
Stop throwing it my way.
I like it better. I'm so mad at the country. I can't take it. I cannot take the waste, fraud, and abuse. It's just absurd, okay?
Well, I spent the last week in Portugal, and I was blissfully unaware of all this
you don't speak
BS.
the language. It just, you're there as, I'm sure that people visit here and think everything's cool. So, But anyway,
let's... Well, not when they see our foreign policy.
No, it's really crazy right now. Well, it's Israel's foreign policy, and we're just executing it for them. Now. And I just learned that they never put their soldiers in harm's way. We do all the bleeding. Did you know that?
Well, in foreign soil, they don't.
Yes.
Yes, but I mean, there people are in harm's way. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, in Afghanistan,
but they don't. But they don't go into foreign wars.
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Okay, seems fair, doesn't it? All right. So let's see. I guess we could start with Aaron Siri.
Oh, that's
we'll start with that one.
That's a good one. That's the one you talked about before I derailed the show. So
I went right along with it.
Okay, so he's referencing this Henry Ford study. Oh yeah, which I printed that study, and we can talk about.
I got some of
a little bit of those numbers because they're shocking. And but first, let's hear what Aaron Siri has to say. This kind of hang on. Oh yeah, this is kind of a long one. So I'm going to let it roll, and we'll stop it, and we'll just end it whenever you feel like. But here
should
we
go. Should we go with him or should we go with?
No, I'm going to start it. I'm done
y'all remember last week, Aaron Siri is the lawyer that is involved in tons of litigation regarding pharmaceuticals. He's great. He's the one that last week got a woman that literally looks like the Wicked Witch of the West, Dr. Catherine Edwards, considered to be the queen of vaccines.
She's not green though.
She's all you got to do is paint her green, and she could be on Broadway as a witch. And he got her to admit, and boy, it's worth looking at her face when she has to do it, that
studies were not designed to rule out autism.
Rule out autism.
And she straight up said no. She had a one-word answer: no.
And no meaning that the studies were not designed to rule out autism.
Right. Okay. Here we go.
The study. He recruited a chief epidemiologist and 2 statisticians within Henry Ford to do so. These were mainstream scientists who no doubt held orthodox views regarding vaccines. In early 2020, I received a copy of the study. It showed the results of the analysis comparing children enrolled in Henry Ford from 2000 to 2016 from birth onward who had no vaccines compared to those who had 1 or more vaccines. This study was based on actual medical records. meaning finally a large vaccinated versus unvaccinated study using health data from a major United States health institution, something, as the IOM pointed out, never existed before. The study began by explaining it set out to reduce vaccine hesitancy by assuring parents the CDC vaccine schedule is safe. Instead, what these researchers found was that vaccinated children had 4.29 times the rate of asthma, 3.03 times the rate of atopic disease, 5.96 times the rate of autoimmune disease, and 5.53 times the rate of neurodevelopmental.
All right,
that's unbelievable.
We'll pause it there real quick, but also he's going to go into some diseases where they couldn't measure the ratio, because here he was saying that some were like 4 times as much, 5 times as much. There's others, there's no ratio. Because,
why is that, Tom?
Because the unvaccinated kids were 0.
Right.
So you can't calculate that.
So you can't go 4 to 1 if it's
like
5 kids.
I think diabetes. So first of all, in the vaccinated group, and these were all kids who were at Henry Ford Medical Center.
Right.
And so Henry Ford Medical Center had all the records. So this was records-based, right? So it's about as reliable as you can get. You're just looking at the kids' medical records.
Yeah.
They had 16,500 approximately of the vaccinated, and about right around 2,000 of the unvaccinated. So it's a sizable study. And for the group that was vaccinated, there was something like 42 kids with diabetes, 0 in the unvaccinated. That's just one example. And then there's plenty other, like there's 0 ADHD among the unvaccinated.
And the page before it, yeah. I'm just giving him the page with the stats.
Okay. So I'm just looking at the kids who were 0. Diabetes was 0 for the unvaccinated and 42 for the vaccinated. You had tics was 0 for the unvaccinated, 46 for the vaccinated.
Tics meaning like your head shakes or you blink your eyes weird, stuff like that. Yeah.
And there's plenty of examples of that sort of thing. And then of those that are not, maybe they're not 0, but they're near 0. Autoimmune disease, 2 out of 2,000 among the unvaccinated.
Wow.
201 out of 16,000 in the vaccinated. And again, then there's cancer, there's ADHD. This runs a whole gamut of very serious.
Just read without giving the actual stats, just some more, because we're coming up on the break again. Just some of the other diseases where.
Well, okay, let's just look right at autism. 1 for the unvaxxed. 1 out of 2,000 in the unvaxxed. 23 out of the 16,000
in the vax.
Again, it's cancer. 13 for the unvaxxed and 169. Now again, there's 4 times as many, but in the vaccinated group, but the ratios are they're
overwhelmingly.
Overwhelmingly,
the vaccinated children are sicker.
I think there are 0 diseases for which the vaccinated perform better.
That's a fact.
They're worse in all of them. Some of them, well, literally infinitely so, because the unvaccinated group had 0.
0. That's incredible.
So what are we doing here?
And all we do, and this is what I complain about, is that I don't care what is causing it. What the problem is, especially with autism, but all of it, is the lack of curiosity and open-minded and open studies. Like this Henry Ford thing is great. This is a big study. But
real quick, you know how they try to debunk it? Is they're saying, well, there's a lot. The reason that the vaccinated kids have so many more medical records is because they go to the doctor more, so they're finding it more because you're going to the doctor more because you're sick more. That's not debunking.
We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Baldy and the Blonde. I'm Michelle Godin here with Tom Kowitz. I'm not the bald one, still.
Thanks for reminding me. Can you get on with the show without pointing out my baldness?
I have to do something to I don't know, lighten the... It's a horrible day in America.
Okay, fine. You're still blonde, but only because you get help. Okay?
And
now what do you want to talk about?
A little assistance, just a little bit.
It's rough in here.
It's
a tough room.
It's a tough room today. Damn it. It's American Tax Day, so we can we can have wars and we can have like Somalian illegal immigrants stealing billions in Minnesota. We have California, which is just off the rails. I don't know the what is it now? 80 billion on the train that never laid a track. The streets of America should be filled with gold. We should have no autism, and we should have a solution for the childhood epidemic of illnesses, mostly autism.
Yeah, you're right.
You know? Okay, so anyway, we are going to continue ranting and raving about childhood epidemics and the lack of treatment, and Tom is going to take it away and introduce our next clip.
Well, actually, this next clip, I don't know how he says his name.
I don't either.
Daniel Natus.
Niedis or something like that.
So in
Nides.
And he's not just any old run-of-the-mill doctor. So get this.
He's a big wheel.
In January of 2017, he wrote a New Year's article. It was called Make 2017 the Year to Avoid Toxins. It's like a New Year's resolution, how to avoid toxins. And in there, he questioned vaccines, the safety of vaccines, basically saying that newborns shouldn't be getting them. We need to delay it. And
of course.
Right? And now he, at that time, he was the medical director and chief operating officer of the Cleveland Clinic Wellness Institute.
Cleveland Clinic is such a prestigious
Cleveland Clinic is prestigious.
Yes.
He was medical director and chief operating officer of their wellness institute.
Right.
So after he wrote that article, he was censored by the clinic.
Of course.
And then he came out and apologized. And he sat on that for a while and stewed and was probably sorry to himself that he apologized, because fast forward 8 years, and I think this was from last October, he gave a very public, solemn, and emotional apology to families that he realized he did not give informed consent to. And I think one of the families had a very serious, maybe even, I couldn't tell, either a very serious injury or death in the family from a flu vaccine. And he publicly apologized, and I'm going to play that. We're going to play it in its entirety. It's like 4 minutes long.
It's worth listening to.
It is. And if you want me to stop it along the way, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to let it roll.
Maybe just,
First, I got to get the damn thing to start.
So these are my big issues regarding vaccines, and these are the things that I'd like to highlight. Number one, there is no education in medical schools that I am aware of, and being an educator at the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine and Case Western Reserve University, I am not aware of education around vaccines, their contents, safety records, informed consent, or the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. We do not discuss that in 1986, Congress enacted legislation removing all liability from pharma related to vaccine adverse events. What are we taught about vaccines? We are taught to memorize the vaccine schedule.
That's horrifying.
And actually, I'm going to be sitting for my family medicine boards this year, and I am sure that I will have to memorize that schedule again in order to pass that exam.
Seems relevant.
We don't discuss that almost $4 billion with a B has been paid to vaccine-injured patients since 1992.
Can you stop right there for a minute?
For medical professionals.
Yeah.
So what he's talking about is that any vaccine that gets placed on the childhood vaccine schedule enjoys no liability for deaths, injuries, or anything. The companies walk away scot-free. So the profits are all theirs, and their losses are paid for by us on tax day, among other days.
Great.
Did you know that? Yes, and you must go to this severely limited, nothing like a regular American courtroom. You go to this National Vaccine Injury Courtroom, court system, okay? And it's really, really almost impossible. The timeline to file the case is really short. I have talked to experts in the field, lawyers who do that, and it's, in other words, it's a very limited remedy for atrocious, outrageous injuries. When you're hurt somewhere else, you can file your cases and get your day in court, not for vaccine injuries, like generally speaking.
All right, let's continue.
So let's pick up from there.
But notice how ignorant doctors are about vaccines. He said we're not taught anything.
Nothing.
And he teaches. He
just
says,
memorize what you got to give them because there's money coming in your practice.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
We expect fair balance, but vaccines seem to be absolved from that consideration. Number 2, there appears to be a conflict of interest regarding payments to providers for completing vaccine schedules.
Aha.
Who knew?
And a corollary to that, which would be number 3, patients are being dismissed from practices because of, quote unquote, vaccine safety concerns. If you bring up a question about a vaccine and you decide not to vaccinate your child, you may be at risk of being terminated from that practice.
Now, I'm not sure about this. I'm guessing, but I think, because I've seen this in other industries, they call it penetration, that if you don't get enough of your clients to buy whatever product, they go off of a percentage, then you're penalized. So these guys, with these doctors he's talking about, if you have vaccine hesitancy, it hurts your percentages.
Yep.
The way you improve your percentage, just kick them out. Why else would you kick them out?
Well, that's true. That I did not know that. That's interesting info.
All right, here we go.
Disgusting.
Absolutely deplorable and disgusting.
Thank you, sir.
Number 4, and again to the Bailey family, I'm really sorry,
Here he's crying.
but employers are forcing employees to receive the flu vaccine or face corrective action or job loss. And the fact that your dad was 6 months from retiring is...
Wow.
Number 5, there's a lack of informed consent, and I was one of those providers who didn't provide safety sheets before vaccinating.
What a
I would
brave
tell
guy.
the parents, these are the vaccines today. We're going to give you 3 vaccines in one leg and 2 in the other. And then after vaccinating either the child or the adult patient, here's your information sheet. And again, to be completely transparent with you, I had no idea that there was even a mention of the compensation program or a telephone number to call. Absolutely deplorable on my part, and I apologize to my patients.
He's crying. He lost a patient due to vaccine
Number 6,
injury.
there's a lack of transparency regarding vaccine complications. And worse, you're being shamed as patients for suggesting that you were harmed by a vaccine. If I see a patient in the office and diagnose strep throat and give them penicillin, and either the mom or the patient themselves calls and tells me that they developed a rash, there is zero question. The chart now states they have an allergy to penicillin and will never be given it again. Why don't we believe parents and patients when they tell us they have had an adverse event regarding a vaccine? It doesn't make sense to me as a medical professional. I apologize for being emotional.
I love that he's emotional. It's such a rarity to see anybody stand up and say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I screwed up. I had the curiosity of a pet rock when I told you, take these vaccines, put yourself at risk, put your children at risk.
Well,
it's horrific.
And in the
what a hero he is.
Absolutely. And in the medical profession, informed consent is everything.
Everything.
And he didn't give it, and he now realizes he didn't give it.
And informed consent means, just basically that you have the information in order to give free consent. If you don't have the information that the vaccine, COVID shot, whatever, flu shot, might have certain risks to your health, how can you possibly consent when you don't have the proper information?
And what he said, too, was that the doctors themselves, when they're in medical school, they're not taught that stuff.
They're taught to push the vaccine.
Push the vaccine, memorize it, and push it.
And never question anything. And that is just, it's really a rampant problem in, I think, society, is that people just don't, I just remember as a kid, it was the mantra was, for the hippies, who are way older than me, thank you, question authority, man.
Well, they were right.
That is correct, and you should question authority. Of course, they don't. Those are the biggest sheeple in America now. But yeah, you have to question things. But it is a shame that we have had such an evil cover-up of medical information that it's almost like, who can you possibly trust?
Well, money is huge.
That's it.
And when there's massive, massive amounts of money at stake, people will do evil things.
Yeah, you kind of have to find doctors who, you trust and you feel that they are asking the appropriate questions, giving you good advice.
All right, Michelle. Happy Tax Day.
Yes, thank you, Tom.
Where are we going now in this? We got only a few minutes left. It's already gone by. It happens every week.
It happens every week.
All right, what you got for us?
It's all about vaccines and federal tyranny in the medical field. It's everywhere. We are under the boot of the government.
You mean even though we come on every week
and
tell them to stop the tyranny, they haven't stopped?
They haven't listened to us.
The hell? All right.
I don't know.
All right.
So much tyranny, so little time. Yeah, anyway, right. So now we're going to hear from Dr. Peter McCullough, who you may know as being one of the doctors who stood up really strong against the COVID injections, and more importantly, was an advocate for, hold on to your seats, treating people who were sick.
What?
With COVID. Yes, giving them medications and trying to get to the bottom of it.
What kind of a quack is that?
I know, who ever heard? Usually the advice was, well, you got COVID, go home, and if you can't breathe, go to the hospital. They had nothing to offer you, nothing. Not vitamin D, not liquids, certainly not ivermectin, or even just, zinc and other things that they knew would help. Steroids. Anyway, I digress. He, of course, he's from Texas. He's a world-famous cardiologist, highly published, and I think he has more publications in cardiology journals than any other doctor. So, anyway. He has had his license, of course, attacked in Texas, which seems to be... Texas got a good reputation for being a real free state, but I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Huh.
They have weird things come out of there all the time. Anyway, this is him. He's going to talk about the fact that the FDA recently removed something that was on their website forever that assured everyone that vaccines did not cause autism. So they took that off the FDA website, and the new statement that is on there says something to the effect that the studies that previous statement were based on were not evidence-based and were not valid. It's pretty shocking.
It is pretty shocking.
From the FDA. Naturally, Big Pharma's pushback is hilarious. I mean, they're like insane, but this is from the FDA.
All right, let's hear Dr. McCullough.
Let's hear Dr. McCullough.
I'm not exactly sure when this is from. I think it is from last November, though.
Without any press briefing at all, the CDC has made a dramatic change on their website regarding their statements. And the CDC now says that prior studies that have denied the link between childhood vaccination and autism are not evidence-based. They're not valid. And the timing of this is very, very consistent with the CDC reading the McCullough Foundation report. We published the most comprehensive report on autism on October 27th, 2025. It's already received over 200,000 downloads and reads from the European Commission preprint server. We sent the report to the CDC, HHS, and all the officials. And now, 3 weeks later, the CDC has essentially read our report and knows that there are compelling sources of information compiled, that the prior studies were misleading. There are 29 studies that claim that there was no link between vaccines and autism. Not a single one of those studies examined the vaccine record, talked to the parents, or examined the children. They didn't have clear control groups. Now we have well over 100 studies pointing to the link. And so the CDC and HHS say now they're going to start their own investigation.
Maybe there's hope.
I mean, wait, let me just say one thing. I said FDA, but obviously it was CDC. But yeah, yes. Maybe so. When there's guys like McCullough who are willing to, go to battle and be attacked, there are at least hundreds of medical professionals that have stood up for their patients and fought back. Unfortunately, they stand out like sore thumbs.
Well, yeah.
The rest of them are, I don't know.
We do have another clip from Dr. McCullough. This is on the Theo Vaughn show. He calls the show This Past Weekend, which is actually kind of a cool name.
You know he's from Covington, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I never know what you're doing in that man cave.
Don't ask. It's a man cave for a reason. Anyway, so this one, he's just talking about, I think specifically about the dangers of the COVID vaccine and how, well, let's just let him speak for himself. Let me see if I can find this thing. Here we go.
Can you imagine if you told a doctor, listen, did you take the Pfizer Moderna vaccines? Do you know they don't leave the body and they're still in your body now producing spike protein? No. And no, I don't know and I don't want to know. And did you have your wife and your family take it? Oh, yeah, I did. And did you tell your patients to take it? Yeah. Do you know it causes fatal heart damage and blood clots and autoimmune problems, neurologic problems, stroke, and it may cause cancer? It's overwhelming. The average doctor cannot psychologically handle it, just like they couldn't psychologically handle it that cocaine was damaging themselves and ruining their lives, or like smoking was causing their lung cancer. It's the same thing. There was a very important paper by Crosson, Krauson, from Harvard, that found in some people who took the vaccines, found that the messenger RNA is physically in the heart. That's a bad sign. Whatever you take in the arm should not end up in the heart.
Vaccine was detected in the axillary lymph nodes in a majority of patients dying within 30 days of vaccination, but not in patients dying more than 30 days from vaccination.
Read farther down. Vaccine was detected in the myocardium, in the heart, in a subset of patients vaccinated within 30 days of death.
Well, that's encouraging.
Isn't that great?
And look what the invisible powers that be were doing to doctors or even people just tweeting it out.
Yeah.
Their licenses were threatened or straight up pulled. People were being canceled all over social media for speaking the truth.
Well, I mean, Dr. McCullough himself was at Baylor. They kicked him out because they, and I mean, he's well respected, but, good for him for doing it. Good for all of these brave doctors.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, when you had, and plus don't forget, the censorship was in overdrive to keep you from knowing what was working to treat people.
Hang on, I just got to play this one.
Yeah, go.
And here's the pressure that people were under. We've played this before, but I got to play it again.
Great.
This is Fauci.
This is the devil. The devil himself.
The devil himself is right. Who never treated a freaking patient.
Anthony Fauci. They never treated anybody.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated.
Buddy.
Lady, you're going to get vaccinated. Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
There you go.
Listen
hey, buddy.
To that.
Yeah.
That's a
straight out of it.
That's a doctor who's supposed to be
he's a doctor.
Right? That doesn't sound anything like a doctor.
That's him. Yeah, buddy. It's been proven that if you put the pressure on the people.
Yeah, he sounds like a mob boss.
He's a mob boss. That's what
Put the screws to him until they acquiesce.
And they'll take it.
And jettison their, what did he call it? Ideological BS.
BS. Yeah.
How is it BS? I don't want your shot. It's not proven to be safe and effective. It's safe and defective.
Exactly. And once again, there was liability protection.
Right.
Because, why? Because they had the emergency use authorization. And if you have that, then you have zero liability. And they had emergency use authorization. That depends on, you can only get that special grant when it's an emergency.
And
there's no treatment.
Right. But there was other treatment.
And that's why the treatment had to be attacked.
That's right.
That's why we had to say, oh, no. And these are doctors all over the world reporting good results with sort of a cocktail, almost like the way they treat AIDS or HIV. You try different things. That's what doctors used to do. Because I remember the day when doctors were like, they thought about things. They tried different things. They didn't go to whatever Dr. Google is now and see what, the big corporation doctor center allows you to do.
Well, we're down to our last 40 seconds.
Yes.
And I just want to reiterate how much I love tax day.
Me too.
I'm so happy
myself
to give up it's just as much money as they see fit to take.
Whatever they
can
want.
have it. And I just feel really good about that.